let's talk about cost, revenue, profit, and break-even analysis. I think the textbook is quite old. Who sells DVD cases for $5 per unit nowadays? It's more like 50 cents per unit. But let's just say this is how it is. Okay. So you're trying to manufacture DVD cases and you're trying to sell them, and it turns out that the setup cost is $3,000. That means you have to borrow the machine, you have to borrow the material, and you have to make everything set up. And these are the setup costs. Okay, and let's just say that once it's set up, making each case costs $2 per unit. Okay, and then if you make them, you can sell them for $5. Right? Now find break-even point, and also how many cases must sell to have $5,000 profit. Okay. Here we're going to simplify things and assume that we are going to sell everything that we make. Okay. And it must have been in the 90s where DVDs were really hot, and you make them, it's always sold. Okay, but with that assumption, let's try to find the cost function, revenue function, and then profit, and do this break-even analysis.
How many DVDs are in a case?
I don't know. We just assume this. Okay, yeah. It's probably not realistic at this point. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, you're saying how many cases we have to sell, but like we don't know how many is in a case.
We go by cases. So $2 per unit means $2 per each case.
So only one case is one DVD?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right.
Which is very lousy. Yeah.
Right.
Nobody does business like that anymore. Okay. All right. So first, let's think about the cost. So what is the cost function? Cost, let's say X number of cases are made. And if you're not so sure, you can start out by thinking of some examples. How much money is needed to make just one DVD case? Can you tell me?
$3,000, $2.
$3,000 and $2, right? Because you need the setup cost.
Fixed cost?
It's a fixed cost, yes. The setup cost is the fixed cost, right? Yeah. How about making two? 3,004, right? Because you need $4 to make the two cases, and you have $3,000 setup cost. Okay, so you kind of see what the formula should be, right? It should be
2x plus 3,000?
yeah, should be fixed cost plus price per unit times units. Number of items you make, and therefore it should be $3,000 plus what?
2x.
2x. Very simple. Okay. Now the revenue. Well, how much revenue are you going to get if you just make one DVD case?
None?
Huh?
Negative revenue, I guess?
$5.
No,
$3.
revenue is how much you get. Okay.
$5.
Profit would be the difference between the revenue and your cost. Okay. So revenue is just $5 if you make one. How about if you make two?
10.
Yeah, right. So sorry, I made a mistake here. This is cost per unit should be here, and then this would be the price per unit multiplied by the number of units. So in this case, it's $5 times the number of items you make, okay? Assuming that every one of these are sold. Okay. All right, and then comes your favorite part, the profit, right? How do you get the profit?
Break even.
Subtract
Everything you make after expenses.
Right. So
covered.
so this is how you get, but you have to subtract how much you spent to make them, right? So your profit would be the revenue minus the cost function. Okay. maybe I should box this because it's pretty important. That's your profit. And then you now have P of x equal to 5x minus the 3,000 plus 2x. And when you do this, make sure you don't mess up by forgetting the parentheses, okay? You're subtracting 3,000 plus 2x as a whole, so you need this parenthesis, okay? Once you have that parenthesis, now you have 5x minus 2x, that's 3x minus 3,000. So that's your profit. Okay, so we're almost there. Now we're ready to come up with the answer. What is break even?
0. Your cost.
Yeah,
your
even
cost
means
and
your
revenue.
cost and revenue are the same, right? That's what break even means, right? So to find the break even, you said you're trying to look at when the profit becomes 0. So you have 3x minus 3,000 equal to 0, which gives you that if you move the 3,000 to the other side and divide by 3, you get x equal to 1,000. All good? Now, since x is equal to 1,000, that's your break-even point. So when you start manufacturing, you have to do some market research to make sure that the market is ready for 1,000 DVD cases. Okay? If nobody seems to be wanting DVD cases, you should never start this business ever. Okay? All right. Now, if the goal is to make $5,000 out of this plant, then how many should they make?
4,000.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. That's when. So to get $5,000, then that means your P of x should be 5,000. Your profit has to be 5,000, which means 3x minus 3,000 is equal to 5,000. And you get 3x equals to 8,000. So that gives you x equals to 8,000 over 3, which is like 2.6666, right? 266. So 266.6. So that you should say you need to. Oh, sorry. Here. So you need 2,667 at least. Okay. So you need at least 2,667 cases.
Would you just round that up?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, so that's why I rounded up. And in this case, you probably want to round it up because that's, I mean, you can't make 0.6 DVD cases. Everything has to be in integers for this problem, so I had to round it up. Okay. All right, now, often in the business world, people are impressed by graphs. Right? I mean, if you just write this and you put that in your company report, nobody's impressed. But once you put some graphs, and they're like, okay, well, he's doing some work. So let's try to think about that. So we're already done with the problem. This is the answer. We know that the break-even is 1,000, and the 2,667 is our goal in order to make the $5,000. However, let's try to draw some graph. What I want to draw is the graph of the cost function. The cost function starts at 3,000, right? So let's say it's 3,000 here. And see, the number of items is X, and this is the money. Yeah, money, very good money, right? Okay. And if I get 1, it's slightly bigger. So it'll be like 3002 here, and then 2, and then 3004, something like that, right? Oh, by the way, I probably want this to be in the thousands or something, because I need to draw the 1,000, the break-even point. That's when x is equal to 1,000. So let's do this. We'll say that this is about 1,000. How many? What's the cost when you make 1,000? 1,000 times 2 is 2,000. 2,000 plus 3,000 is 5,000, right? So if I say this is 3,000, then 5,000 is about here, so that's 5,000. So 1,000 comma 5,000. This is the point that the cost function should hit. So cost function begins at 3,000 and ends at 1,000 comma. It passes through 1,000 comma 5,000. So let's draw the cost function by connecting this with the line. Now usually, if you have, let me write down the cost function. It was 3,000 plus 2x. Usually if you have an equation like that, that's a line equation, so it's tempting to draw to the left side, but that's stupid because nobody makes negative items, right? It's always, the x can only be 0 to positive, right? So that's the graph of the cost function. Now what about the revenue function? Revenue function also passes through this, but what's the revenue when you make 0 DVD cases? Zero. Revenue, not profit, revenue, okay? Revenue is also 0. So this line that connects through these 2 points, that will be your revenue function, okay? Now that we have the 2 functions, then let's try to think about what this graph means. Here, yes?
The 1,000 and 5,000 intersect y? Or what, how is that a point? I don't understand.
Well, I just recall that we solved this and got that when x is 1,000,
Yeah.
that's the break-even point, right?
Mhm.
If you plug in 1,000, 1,000 times 2 is 2,000.
Okay.
2,000 plus 3,000, that's 5,000.
Got
So I
it.
know that has to pass through 1,000, 5,000.
Okay.
Thank you, very good. I probably didn't explain that well, but that was a good question, all right? Okay, so once you have the revenue and cost function, what does this represent? Or this? This is like the value of revenue minus cost. That's profit, right? Yeah. Here, cost is higher than the revenue. So here you're losing money. Here you're gaining money, right? So in other words, if you go up to, oh, I should have made the graph larger, but if you have like 2, 6, 6, 7 somewhere here, and the graph is like that, then the difference here would be about $5,000. That's your profit. Okay? So this is your profit. And this point here is what we call the break-even point.
So the break-even point is like the point of intersection.
It's the point of intersection, yes.